So Matt Blake is running for state senate and covers the basically the northwest quadrant of Polk County, Urbandale. Correct me if I'm wrong. Urbandale, Johnston, a couple other communities too. So Matt also serves on the Urbandale City Council with a lot of good Democrats.
Yeah,
And
used to serve on. I stepped off, but yes.
oh, you stepped off. Okay, I'm sorry. When did you just step off in the last week or two?
No, in 23, I didn't run for reelection because my wife said I could run for state senate or be on city council, not both. So I chose state senate. So
Okay, I am sorry. Boy, I am behind. I am behind. I'm sorry.
I
Okay. Well,
apologize. No problem.
Matt served like 30 years on the Urbandale City Council, so I appreciate him being here. Also, Matt is a major in the military, and so we appreciate his service. We have a lot of good veterans that we've supported, endorsed in the past, and we appreciate you joining us. With that, I'm going to give you again 6 minutes. Talk about yourself and your campaign. And then Patrick will follow up with up to 6 minutes of questions. Then a minute two at the end. You can kind of close it out. So the floor is yours, Matt.
Okay, I will try to keep this as succinct as possible. As Mitch, you touched on a couple good points. Yes, I'm Matt Blake. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for agreeing to do the interview. I appreciate your time and I appreciate you being here. And I apologize again for my technical difficulties. A little bit about my campaign. Again, Mitch kind of touched who I am, but I'm a father of a 4-year-old and 1-year-old. In fact, we don't have a family office, so I'm sitting in my son's bedroom because it's the only place that's currently quiet because he's downstairs watching cartoons. Um, I'm a former city council member, ran for state senate, running against Brad Zahn, member of the Iowa Army National Guard military. Currently, I'm a JAG officer, so I'm an attorney by training and what I do for a profession. But my campaign, what's going on my campaign? Again, I'm running in the most flippable Senate seat in the state. This Senate seat is leaning blue. It's a great pickup opportunity. It's one of the best places where we can try to win. And when it comes to winning in November, not only my Senate seat, but it'll help for making sure Lennon gets elected, things down the line. With my race, I'm running on kind of some basic points. I'm running on a theme of common sense and decency, which is just trying to inject some ability to make sure that we're not having this vitriol that we're hearing up at the Capitol. But the big 3 points I'm running on is public education, and that's all encompassing of the wide variety of issues, making sure public dollars for public education, making sure that we have books not being banned and vouchers, things of that nature, and get rid of those vouchers. When it comes to the second point that I'm running on is reproductive health for Iowans, making sure that Iowans and women have the right to choose, making sure they have the right to the autonomy over their bodies. That has been something I have been door to door on every door that I've knocked, and things are going well with that. You always get some people that are not as happy about that message, but I'm proud to go door to door on that. And then my third one is clean water. Running on clean water and make sure that we do what we can to make sure that the drinking water and the is in my suburban district is something that we can drink and is safe and down the line. When it comes to the status of my campaign, we've door knocked thousands of doors, continue to door knock more. We will be ramping up even more as we get closer. We're only 4 months out, but a lot of time. Our fundraising is going somewhat well. Need to do better. Like every candidate that comes up here, I think that we're nearing in about $150,000 pledged and raised. So we're doing better. I needed about another 150,000 though between now and in November. So things are going well. Happy to answer some other questions, but that's where I tend to prefer spending my time. I think I'm at 6 minutes, maybe a little less, but happy to answer any questions.
Matt, yeah, excellent. You were a little bit less, so you're I think an excellent attorney. So I appreciate you shortening that up. So with that, I'm going to give you over to Patrick Borchak. Patrick's our chair of our election endorsement committee. He's going to ask you 2, maybe 3 questions for about 6 minutes. Then again, we'll close it up a minute or two after that with you. Patrick?
Thank you, Mitch. And thanks, Matt, for joining us tonight. So, as you know, you provided us a completed questionnaire. We reviewed it as a committee. We had a few follow-up questions for you. The first
Absolutely.
one is question number 3 on the healthcare section, which asks if you, given the absence of federal legislation guaranteeing healthcare at a national level, are in favor of Iowa passing a universal single-payer healthcare law to cover every Iowan, including mental health, dental, vision, hearing, reproductive, pharmaceutical, and so forth. You answered that you're in favor of a single payer in the United States, and that if we, quote, could find a workable solution in Iowa, you would consider it. Okay,
Yeah.
unquote. So the second part of that question, of that answer, prompts up 2 follow-up questions from the committee. First of all, if there were a workable solution for guaranteeing single-payer healthcare in Iowa, why would you only consider it as opposed to being all for it? And second of all, please tell us what a workable solution in Iowa would look like.
Oh, that's a very good question. So what I meant by that is again, I am all in on single payer at the national level. Because when it comes to what I believe in is that, and again, I used to work in healthcare field, is that the way that you can try to get enough people in the pool in order to bring down the healthcare costs and be able to effectuate change with making sure that there is ability to compensate and deal with healthcare providers in a way, because right now there isn't the leverage on one side. The insuring pool is almost as large because of consolidation on the hospital side, consolidation within the provider side, that they're almost as big as when it comes to health insurers. So that what I meant by that at the state level is I don't know if a state can have that size of a pool to completely do that, because Wellmark is already almost has a predominant amount of people in the pool. So there is issues of whether that yet costs still continue to rise. So while that's what I mean by a state level. I don't, if there is a way that we can try to get universal health care without raising a tremendous amount of taxes on our state providers, I'm all for it. I would be 100% in, 100% in. I just don't know whether there are state solutions to do that. That's why I'm much more in favor of a national level one, where I would be the first to vote for universal health care. So when it comes to the state level, if there is solutions that can make that, and there's ways, because again, in our state, we have 2 major provider systems, maybe some others but like if you look at Mercy and Unity Point, they may adapt in ways. So it's not that I'm against it. It's not that I'm doing it. It's just, again, I've spent a lot of time in this area, and I want to make sure that if we do it, maybe we do it in a regional approach. Maybe there's enough buying power within a variety of states that would allow that to be accessible. That's what I'm trying to focus on, is that we want to make sure that everybody has access to healthcare. Everybody has the solutions they can take. It's just, I want to make sure that we do it in a way that that is affordable for everybody, and is a way that we can make sure that everybody receives healthcare in an appropriate way. I would focus more at a federal level, if that's just my personal policy preference.
Okay, understood. All right, next question. So question number 1 of the workers' rights section of the questionnaire asks if you support enacting a state minimum wage of $20 an hour or higher, indexed annually to inflation. You answered that you support enacting a state minimum wage reflecting a living wage in Iowa, but you didn't tell us what you consider to be a living wage in Iowa. So now please tell us what you mean by living wage in Iowa and what the minimum wage is that you would support enacting.
I would like to tie the living wage, and I'm not an expert at what the living wage is. I would tie it to what the living wage is. It may be above, I think it was 20 in the answer. It might be above 20, it might be below 20. And that's why I put that in there, is because I would like to know what the data says at the time. So that's why I'm never like stating a specific number, because I want to make sure that it's a wage that people can live on, because 15 might still not be enough, 20 might not be enough. So that's why I would rather tie it to that kind of that numeric. And then of course, put it with inflation. So I didn't I don't like putting a like when people ask me that, I always go to this answer is because I don't know what the specific right answer is. I wish maybe I should do better making sure I'm in a talking to understand what the specific number is. But that's what I tie to, is like I want to make sure that what we tie it to is what is the number that people can live off of. And then we continue to raise that as it goes forward to make sure that people can actually have a living wage. So I don't have a specific number, and that answer is the truthful answer, though, is it may be above 20, it might be below 20, but I want to make sure that it continues to rise as it moves forward, and make sure that it's something that people can make a living on.
Okay, Mitch.
Patrick, we have 4 minutes remaining.
Okay, thank you, Mitch. All right, next question. Question 2 of the education section asked if public post-secondary education, including trade schools, should be free to students, and what limitations, if any, you would apply. You answered that you do believe the community colleges and trade schools should be free for Iowa residents and students. You went on to say that we would need to look at how to also reduce the debt for students entering into our state universities. So please now tell us why you don't believe a 4-year bachelor's degree at Iowa public colleges should not be free to Iowa residents, and also please elaborate on what you meant by reduce the debt load for students entering into our state universities.
So the first question is whether I would support universal education at 4, because the question was trade, right? So
no, the question was post-secondary education, which should be understood to include community college trades, but not, but up to bachelor's or beyond that. We just want to know what your stance is.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I might have misinterpreted the question. When it comes to community college and trade schools, I think that should be free. And then again, when it comes to the universities, I do eventually think that we need to work up to a point where we can relieve this. As I came out with, between my wife and I, with $350,000 in student loan debt between the two of us. Mind you, I have a law degree. My wife has is an optometrist. So we had a debt load that made it impossible for us to buy a home until later and start our family until later. So we had I am very well aware of what it takes to live when it comes to student loan debt. Again, it comes down to that I'm not against the idea of having post-secondary education all across the board be free. I would be happy to work towards that. But again, it comes down to the budget. I would first start with trade schools and community colleges. First, we start there, and then we look at ramping up on universities until we get to the point where it becomes affordable, and we're not just sloughing off our state budget to eventually onto the tax-paying or onto the students. We should be continuously not increasing that amount, not cutting constantly like we have been. But I would be working towards that goal. I don't know if we have the budget at this point in time to support that. And we would have to look at ways to either create efficiencies or look for more revenue opportunities. But that is something I would work towards. I do think that that's something, as somebody that has carried a tremendous amount of debt load, one of the things I don't want my children being have that kind of debt when they reach that age. So I would work towards it. I will say at sometimes I'm more of an incrementalist than some people like. But that is one thing that is the first off the bat. Trade school, community college is easy. Happy I would be able to do that. That would be my first thing. And then we would work towards the goal in the long run of state universities being free.
Okay, with that, we're like 1 minute. And so I think we should give our candidate, Matt Blake, 60 seconds that kind of close it out.
Okay. All right. Well, I thank you all for your time today. I do appreciate that. Again, I have lots of opinions. I've been in the policy realm for years. One of the things I don't really talk about much is that I was an advocate up at the Capitol for nonprofit agent service providers for many years. I understand day one what it will take to be a leader up there. there is a problem that you need more people like myself elected up there in order to get some of these things passed. So that's what one of the goals that I want to do getting up there is making sure that more folks like myself, at least on the Senate side, are elected so we can initiate some of these goals, that we can make sure that education's affordable and maybe free someday for individuals, making sure that we can have access to healthcare for everybody in the state. Those are goals that are worthy and things that I'd work towards. And I agree with the vast majority of what we all are wanting to accomplish. But I also want to make sure that we have to balance that with the fact that we need more progressives elected throughout this. And when it came to being a progressive, when I was elected, when I was in city council, I was the reason that Urbandale has paid family leave in the city of Urbandale. I helped start changing over the fleet from gas to electric and hybrid, putting solar panels up. We with the police force, we created the crisis intervention team, which allowed for mental health professionals to go along with police officers. And I was also with Bridget before, when we were first elected. Our first 3 weeks created the first human services budget. So when I'm elected, I do the things. I lead, and I lead effectively. But we also need more in order to make that happen. The state capitol, we need more people, that like-minded individuals, to make that happen. So I thank you for your time. I would be happy to talk more, but I'm already running over. Feel free to reach out if you need any clarifications. I'm happy to talk even more. And thank you so much for your time here today and all the things you all do here in this community.